Hey, what's up? It's your boy Rawk. 2020 was a pretty bad year for a lot of people, there's no getting around that, but I think we can all agree that the worst thing it did was soften my expectations for Nintendo in 2021. They could have released a Fly this year and I would have been happy. And they couldn't even do that, could they? "365 days have passed and you know what that means. It's time for me to bitch! It's been a yearly tradition for me that I talk about everything Nintendo did in a year in the following January. I've done it once and I can't imagine my life without doing it. Now when I talked about 2020, I went a little easy on Nintendo for their Leiter lineup because the whole world was suffering from herpes. And while I am tempted to be a lot more cynical this year given that things seem to have settled down, we have absolutely no idea how the events of 2020 affected Nintendo's game development. For all we know, they had 17 huge projects in the works for 2021, but they had to get delayed for the foreseeable ever. So I think I'm gonna go a bit easier on them this year too. Not as much so as last year, mind you, but a little less critical than I definitely could be. Hey guys, Rawk checking in here. Please know two things before we begin. I will try and talk about every notable thing that happened, but at the end of the day, I'm just one person with just one terrible taste. I can't guarantee that I played everything that released, sadly. And also, I'm the guy who proudly owns Wall-E for the DS, so you might want to reconsider if my opinion's worth caring about. Now, I know I gave Nintendo's lineup in January 2020 some flack, but that's because there wasn't really all too much going on. But in comparison, Nintendo's lineup in January 2021 consisted of, oh hey, would you look at that, it's nothing. Yeah, Nintendo slept through their alarm and woke up in February. They had a Mario-themed Switch, you're asking for a lot here. I mean, there were some demos for upcoming games, like Balan Wonderworld. But outside of that, the only thing that released was a trailer for the Bowser's Fury portion of Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. It looked incredible, January is saved. Nintendo Directs lived, bitches! But first, Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury released this month, and man, after waiting 8 years, it felt really good to play this game slightly faster. It's truly God's favourite. I'll keep this brief because I've already talked about this game 4 fucking times, and also, if Christ rose from the dead, you'd want to give him more attention than your 8-year-old stepson. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury is hands down the best Wii U port yet. Not only did it vastly improve the base game, by upping the speed of the game tenfold, adding multiplayer to the Captain Toad levels, making all saves happen in the background instead of making you sit and really think about your choices for a while, and adding a ton of new multiplayer options, the most notable of which being online play. Who the fuck are you with your modern conveniences? But of course, the biggest part of this package was Bowser's Fury. This was either a glimpse into the future of 3D Mario or a fun excuse for me to question every decision I've ever made. Bowser's Fury is so damn good. I honestly think I might prefer it to the base game. You know, the game I've talked about 4 times. Yeah, I like this one more. Obviously it's nowhere near as long, but in that shorter time, it manages to offer some really compelling ideas. The overall structure of the game takes the best parts from 3D World and Odyssey and crams them into a crossbred abomination that's better than its dad. And the world design, chef's kiss, this is some seriously fantastic stuff. I would kiss it myself, but I can't cook to save my life. I fucked up bread. I could talk about this port for eons if you let me. Or, wild concept alert, I could not do that and talk about Splatoon 3. And I can only pick one? On February 17th, Nintendo aired the first full-fat Nintendo Direct since E3 2019, and this was a huge deal. The entire Nintendo community were ecstatic, and they expressed very clearly that if Nintendo didn't reveal Splatoon 3, they wouldn't sleep well that night, so you know it had to happen. This Direct opened up with a reveal for the next Smash character, and the trailer made it look like it was going to be Rex Chronicles from Xenoblade 2. Or I don't know, he could be called Ronald, I still haven't indulged in not being a bitch yet. SAKURAI must have known there were too many anime swordsmen though, so he took away Rex's Y chromosome and gave him a twin. This is what talking about Xenoblade does to me. Pyra and Mythra, 2 characters in one, and just like Sheik and Zelda in Melee and Brawl, a pretty interesting thing to see return, and the characters look pretty fun. Good for them. Next up, we saw that Fall Guys was coming to the Switch after initially being exclusive to PS4 and PC. Oh wow, I can't wait to play this game when it comes to the Switch in summer. Oh, yes I could! Yeah, Fall Guys ended up getting delayed for multiple reasons, the biggest being crossplay. The game was scheduled to launch on Series X and Switch at the same time, and Mediatonic wanted all players on all platforms to be able to play with each other right out of the gate. And in order to get it working right, along with a few other issues, the game has been delayed indefinitely for these platforms. This kinda says to me that this version of the game isn't coming, but don't worry, I'll keep waiting. Next up we have Outer Wilds. From what I can tell, this was a fairly big deal when it released in 2019, so this is cool to see coming to Switch, but I I personally didn't really care all too much. And can you blame me? Famicom Detective Club is back! The dream of one man came true on February 17th, 2021.
Not this man, but a man.
Remakes of the two Famicom Detective Club games that released exclusively on the Famicom Disk System in Japan. This is great! While these games aren't personally up my alley, I respect the hell out of them. It's really nice to see a dormant series see a localization for the first time ever, and in an absolutely stunning remake no less. Samurai Warrior 5, Legend of Mana, and then we had Monster Hunter Rise, a Switch exclusive Monster Hunter game. This looks like hell for someone who doesn't know Monster Hunter, but there's a limited edition Pro Controller. Maybe I can get into the series after all. For the first time in what feels like forever, Nintendo revealed something other than Mario Tennis. I mean, look at this and tell me they don't keep making Mario Tennis games. Okay. This game looked pretty damn good. The Mario Golf series has never really been, you know, bad, so I had a lot of faith in this title, even if the recent Mario sports games don't have the greatest track record. Check out these games coming to Nintendo Switch. Surely this means more than Tales from the Borderlands, Capcom Arcade Stadium, and Stubbs the Zombie. Nintendo, you son of a bitch! What the hell was the point of these games being under their own headline? I'm sorry, but I'm not gonna shit my pants at the sight of Stubbs the Zombie, not even if I tried. Next up, we had No More Heroes 3, a game in a series I've never touched. It looks really wacky and fun, and in terms of resolution, it belongs on the GameCube. Neon White, a game that legitimately looks like a wicked fun time, but who the hell cares? Nintendo's publishing DC Superhero Girls! Nintendo. It's fine that they're publishing this, but of all games, why was this the one to get an extended trailer in this Direct? It felt like such a waste of time. The people who watch Nintendo Directs live, or hell, even watch them at all, they're looking for the core Nintendo franchises to make an appearance. So, experiment time. If you're a die-hard Nintendo fan who cared about this announcement, raise your hand. You do not fucking count! Plants vs. Zombies Battle for Neighborville, good for it. And then oh my god, Miitopia! Where the hell did this come from? This is the first time Nintendo has released one of their own 3DS games on the Switch, which opens a world of possibilities in its own right, and for the first one to be Miitopia? Well, I did not expect that. Hopefully this means we can get other 3DS games on the Switch. I'm sure a dormant Nintendo series that stars a flying man baby would like another shot at redemption. You know who I mean. Tomodachi Life. Animal Crossing New Horizons saw a Mario-themed update to celebrate the 35th anniversary. I'm not really one to bitch about Animal Crossing updates, and trust me, we'll get to that. But for the update nearest the 1-year anniversary of this game's release, it felt a little underwhelming. Like, yeah, the Mario items were really cool and made a fun addition to my basement, but to celebrate the massive success that is New Horizons, I was definitely hoping for a lot more. Next up, oh come on, Bowser's Fury came out like a week ago, please don't talk about it anymore.
We have another game to show you.
I was kidding! We then go into a full-length trailer for Project Triangle Strategy. What is this, a children's orchestra? This is fundamentally a sequel to Octopath Traveler. I played that game quite a bit, but I could never really get into it. Probably because I don't even know how to spell RPG, never mind play one. Star Wars Hunters gets a 7-second trailer, and on the contrary, Knockout City got a 7-hour trailer. Nobody needed this. The game itself looks fine, but my god, this trailer killed absolutely all of my interest in it by focusing so much on these fucking dull-ass characters. So, congratulations EA, I no longer give a piss, just like I don't give a piss about World's End Club, but Hades? Yeah, I could try. This was generally nominated as Game of the Year for 2020, and to see it finally come to Switch is pretty cool, even if in all honesty, I kind of forgot that it wasn't already on Switch. Ninja Gaiden Master Collection is making its way to Switch, and then we get an announcement for more Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity DLC, where the contents were revealed through a static image that was on screen for less than a face slap of disbelief. This is why DC's Superhero Girls pissed me off so much. But don't worry, there's even more coming to Nintendo Switch. I hope there's more than just Bravely Default 2, Ghosts and Goblins Resurrected, Saga Frontier Remastered, and Apex Legends. Oh, fucking brilliant! Eiichi Aonuma came out to basically say, we know you want a Breath of the Wild 2 info, but how about instead of that, we give you special Skyward Sword themed Joy-Cons, and as a bonus, Skyward Sword HD.
How about no?
This game was up-res to 1080p, had new non-motion controls added, enhanced the old motion controls, and did very little else, for the same price as Breath of the Wild. I'm not upset, I just don't really get it. People gave Super Mario 3D All-Stars flash slack for its price, but at least that had 3 games in it. This is just one Wii game and it's priced the exact same. I'm sure the new controls are a lot better than the Wii originals, and I have to imagine that there are some neat quality of life features, but this just isn't doing anything for me, and I don't think it's worth the asking price, honestly.
Damn it!
And that was the February Direct, but I feel like I forgot to do something. Oh yeah. It wouldn't be a Nintendo Direct without the one more thing, and this one was Splatoon 3, set in this new futuristic, almost apocalyptic setting. It looks incredible. But I don't really get it. If this was the first Splatoon game on the Switch, absolutely, go for it. And hell, even if Splatoon 2 was a port of the original instead of a full-on sequel, I totally get that. But Splatoon 2 is Splatoon 2. The Switch already has a full-fledged Splatoon experience, so I don't really get why Nintendo would release another one on the same console. The first 2 games weren't drastically different enough to warrant having them on the same platform, and while what we've seen of Splatoon 3 does look a lot different to 2, it honestly feels like the same will be true for this one. I adore Splatoon, so I'm still really excited for this, but this game is going to have to do a lot to feel worthwhile. I feel that the new setting is just the beginning of that, however, and hopefully with a bigger push on single player, kinda like we saw in the Octo expansion for Splatoon 2, will be enough to make this game feel like a new game and not just another Switch Splatoon.
Many people seem divided on this Direct, but personally, I thought it was pretty damn good. Objectively speaking, it had some good reveals, and in the context of a year without Directs, it felt so damn good to watch one again. The excitement and build-up leading into the Direct, there's truly nothing like that. And I mean, come on, it gave me an excuse to talk about Splatoon 3. How could I not be happy?
But that's not all for Nintendo presentations this month, as the Pokemon Company decided to stream a Pokemon Presents on February 26th, in commemoration of the 25th anniversary of the franchise. Because of this milestone, the presentation opened up with a 6-minute opener about the legacy of Pokemon, and my god, knock it off! This lasted far too long. I get why they did it, to make people feel all nostalgic for the Pokemon memories they've made over the past 25 years, but as someone who barely cares about anything Pokemon related outside of Pokepark Wii, first of all, why did I watch this? And second of all, this did nothing for me. The announcements kicked off with the full reveal of new Pokemon Snap. Thank you. This trailer made new Pokemon Snap look like one of the best games to ever grace humanity. The locales, the graphics, the interactions, they all looked so beautiful and so unbelievably captivating, and we finally saw a release date being the 30th of May. I can die happily now. This was then followed by a few minor updates and events coming to some other Pokemon games. Good for them. And then we get into the big reveal. For the past couple of years, people have been begging for Gen 4 remakes, and it seemed like at this point, it was never gonna happen. I think many were expecting that the next pair of remakes would have been Let's Go Johto, but this presentation announced that yup, the Pokemon Company do care about us. They revealed the Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes. Ugh! I'm sorry, but this game, I hate how it looks. I get that this new chibi art style is supposed to be a direct adaptation of the DS sprite work, but it looks horrible! At least the locales look decent enough, and the names? What the f*** are you trying to achieve with this? Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. What the hell does this mean? Why these names? Literally anything would have been better. At least with something like Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire, the older names were consistent with each other. What the f*** is the connection between Brilliant and Shining? Good god. Everything about this remake just feels like it gets rid of any of the charm from the original. The original pixel art was far from ideal, but they made it work, and it looked really good in my opinion. This is repulsive. The final announcement was Pokemon Breath of the Wild. I would use its actual name, but I don't know how to pronounce this, and also, my name works more. I mean, come on, they literally used the Breath of the Wild shot in the trailer. They were kind of asking for this. Pokemon Breath of the Wild is a spin-off prequel side story thing set in the Hoenn region. And after years of feeling stale and repetitive, this feels like the Pokemon series is finally taking steps forward into the modern age. They clearly didn't get the message that 5 FPS isn't industry standard anymore. I think people were pretty harsh on this game when it was revealed, but personally, I'm really looking forward to it. Yes, it looked pretty rough, but it was clear that the game was still in an early stage, I had faith that it would clean up nicely in the year before its release. March is here, you know what that means.
Death to all plumbers!
Around this time, people seem to be under the impression that Nintendo weren't actually going to pull the plug on all of the Mario Anniversary stuff. We all kind of thought they'd end up saying, Mario's dead, that's a joke! But no, Nintendo stuck to their guns and killed all of the anniversary items on March 31st. Super Mario 3D All-Stars was no longer being sold, nor was the Mario Game & Watch, and Nintendo pulled Super Mario 35 servers offline, you swine! Even though I've been living my life contently without Mario 35, this still pisses me off. The fact that Nintendo killed off one of the best new games the Switch saw in 2020, it still baffles me. But you know what? It's fine. I can live without Mario 35. I will be okay. Earlier in the month, SAKURAI held a presentation for Pyra, Mythra, and Smash Ultimate, and this was a treat. Not because I care about these characters, but because I adore seeing SAKURAI just proudly presenting and playing as the new characters. He always makes even the lamest new additions look so fun to play as, and yup, Pyra and Mythra were no exception. The new Mii Fighter costumes were revealed to be from Monster Hunter and Ghosts and Goblins, and everything released the same day as the presentation. I ended up playing quite a bit of Pyra and Mythra, and I won't lie, I actually really enjoyed them. They have a pretty fun moveset, with one focusing on power and the other focusing on speed, and I have to be honest, they kinda made me want to play Xenoblade.
Who am I?
It's finally here, after almost a year of waiting! The month of new Pokemon Snap is upon us! I've already talked about this game to death, but I have to reiterate just how damn fantastic it is. This is one of the coziest games on the Switch, hands down. It is so gorgeous and the gameplay is so relaxing. I love taking the time to try and see every nook and cranny of these areas, and taking pictures of all the Pokemon that can be found in them. That gameplay loop is so incredibly engaging, and the hundreds of unique interactions and animations seen in each of the Pokemon aid in that tremendously. The continual progression seen in the leveling system and the core scores is also fantastic incentive to jump right back into a level and keep exploring to your heart's content. This was the perfect sequel to the original Pokemon Snap, and an all-round excellent game. It absolutely lived up to my expectations, and I could honestly see this being my game of the year very easily. It's that damn good. Alright, what else happened in April? First 4 Figures announced some champion figures as a part of their Breath of the Wild line. I need them. LEGO announced LEGO Luigi.
Somebody was probably happy about that.
On April 7th, Nintendo, completely out of the blue, announced a new Switch Online exclusive game, the next in their Battle Royale series, only a week after Mario 35 died. Ouch. Which series was getting this treatment next?
Pac-Man 99.
Wait, we're only on Pac-Man 99? I thought we were way further in the timeline than that.
The game released on the same day as the trailer, and honestly, I completely forgot about this game. It's not that there's anything wrong with or bad about it, I just always forget that it's there. But when I do remember, my god is this game a blast. I can't believe I had never considered Pac-Man getting the 99 treatment, because it honestly feels so natural. I'm no good at it, but I absolutely love this game. And now that the ice has been broken with completely non-Nintendo series being turned into Switch Online Battle Royales, I hope we see more alongside some more Nintendo-focused ones. And one sec, I know that Tetris isn't a Nintendo series, but Nintendo and the Game Boy were what popularized the Tetris name. So while it's true that Tetris isn't a Nintendo property, it might as well be. May kicked off with the surprise reveal of a new game, that being Game Builder Garage, a game creation tool. That was not something I expected, but it looked super good. But of course, the main event this month was Miitopia, the 3DS game that I refused to play until it came out again 5 years later. I didn't get as into this game as I wanted to. Let's not dwell on that right now though. One of the biggest improvements this version saw was the Mii Maker. With the Switch generation, I think me and a lot of other people kind of thought that Miis were dead. Nintendo was putting a lot less focus on them, and they were barely included in their new games. For God's sake, the Mii Maker is hidden in the Switch's settings menu, so to see them make a comeback at all was a pretty big deal. This is probably the most in-depth character creator known to man. There was a demo of this game released, and within hours, people had made some absolutely insane stuff, which included, but was far from limited to, King K. Rool and John Arbuckle. There were some ridiculously impressive Miis being squirted out constantly, and I feel that that alone was enough to get people interested in this game. The actual game itself is also a really fun time, but for some reason, I just couldn't see it through to the end. A lot of the elements are automated, which makes it feel a lot less engaging, and then when the story felt like it should have been reaching a conclusion, it just keeps going. I really enjoyed what I played. I mean, come on, I made Banjo marry Waluigi, but there just wasn't enough there to keep me through to the very end. I might pick it back up at some point, but as it stands, I can't make me's for shit. Now, this isn't really Nintendo news, but as Sonic Central aired this month and announced a slew of projects heading to the Switch. The most notable being Sonic Colors Ultimate, Sonic Origins, and the next major Sonic game. Colors Ultimate was great to see, being a fantastic game that was exclusive to the Wii. It was probably my favourite Sonic game before Mania came out, and I couldn't wait to play it on Switch. Sonic Origins is yet another Sonic collection, but this one is incredibly promising. It saw Sonic 1 to 3, Sonic and Knuckles, and Sonic CD, and they were all confirmed to be in widescreen, so I have to assume that for 1, 2, and CD, it'll be the Christian Whitehead versions. And seeing Sonic 3 and Knuckles here at all is pretty cool, especially considering the legal limbo these games have been crab walking in. And the new Sonic game? We saw him run in trees, it's not gonna get me excited. I've been burned enough by modern Sonic, thank you very much. June was the month of Mario Golf Super Rush and absolutely nothing else significant. F***ing hell yes! Let's give Mario Golf the spotlight first though, because if I don't, nobody else will. People seem to forget about this game almost immediately, and the general consensus on it was... it's okay. Me personally, while I found the core gameplay to be incredibly enjoyable, and probably the best in the series, just like with Miitopia, I couldn't really get more than halfway through this one. I played about half of the story mode, played some games of regular speed and battle golf, and took out the cartridge and didn't look back. Again, there's nothing inherently wrong with this game in my opinion, other than the lack of single player stuff to do outside of the adventure mode. This was a pretty fantastic game, there just wasn't much to keep me coming back after a while, which is honestly a shame. Yeah, we're only going to be able to do some highlights here. I already talked about each and every one of the E3 conferences from this year, and I've already made it abundantly clear that I thought Nintendo won, not because of Kazuya and Smash Ultimate,
but because of this, and this!
This was one of the best shows Nintendo has ever had in my opinion. Metroid Dread alone would have made this true, but seeing WarioWare, Mario Party Superstars, Project Zero Maiden of Blackwater, and hell, even stuff like Super Monkey Ball making a proper comeback. This was truly an E3 presentation worth waiting 2 years for. Later on in the month, Game Builder Garage released, and sadly, I've yet to pick this game up. But believe me, I want to. It's one of those games where I constantly have the urge to pick it up, but I never act on it. If you want some more examples, have Ding, Ding, and Ding. This is sort of another Miitopia shtick, in the sense that the stuff that people were making was absolutely incredible. From what I can tell, the creation tools were relatively limited, but people took what they were given farther than I think anybody imagined. A lot of people seem to spend their time with the game recreating other games, such as Mario Kart and Doom, and these were really awesome to see. But I think for me personally, I was a lot more impressed by the more original creations. And no, I'm not just saying that because nobody remade Chibi Robo, I promise. July was the month that Skyward Sword HD came out. What do you think I think? Yup, Skyward Sword HD was the first and only time this year that I spent full price on a game that I had no intention of playing. I'm a fucking lunatic. The general consensus seems to be that this game is a solid upgrade to the Wii original, with some nice quality of life features, but even still, the price was far from justified. I mean, come on, the Wii version of the game launched at 50 Ohio doubloons, and this version, that isn't too far from that version, launched for 60. Why? I get that the enhancements were cool, but this port felt quite low effort to be releasing at full price. But what do I know? I'm never gonna play this game unless the Afterlife has a Switch dock, so I don't know what the f*** I'm talking about. New Pokemon Snap received a free update, and this was lovely. The 2 new levels they added feel ripped right out of the Nintendo 64 original, and they were a blast to play.
The only other thing that really happened in July was the great retro game price inflation. People were supposedly buying box copies of the original Super Mario Bros. And Mario 64 for millions of dollars. Fun fact, did you know people were fucking idiots?
So many people screamed, who the hell would buy a game for that much money? Meanwhile, I screamed, who the hell believed that they did? It's all but confirmed at this point that the websites selling these games were using them as a front for money laundering, while also artificially inflating the price of the retro game market for reasons. There probably is one, but I don't want to waste my time thinking of one. So many people thought that they could get away with selling these games for similar prices, and no. And other people thought they were totally boned because they didn't already own these games, but now that they were selling for crazy amounts, they needed to have them. No! At the most, I could buy a box copy of Super Mario 64 for £40. If I really wanted to, I could buy a mint condition copy for $75. Why in God's name would I spend nearing $2 million on the same damn thing? Because of this happening, people were legitimately trying to sell these games for ludicrous prices on eBay. And to the people who fell for it and bought them, first of all, who hurt you? And second of all, was it worth it? The only reason you'd care about owning a pristine condition copy of this game is if you already owned it. So why would you spend a country's worth of money just to buy a second copy that you aren't even gonna open?
This to me truly showed off the dark side of game collecting, when people are legitimately only in it for the money. They don't care about just enjoying the games for what they are, they only want them when they're expensive, and I'm just getting tired of it. Can it please be August now?
August had nothing. I stand by that. This Pokemon Presents was the longest Pokemon presentation to date, which is impressive considering the opening of the last one lasted roughly 3.5 decades, but good for this presentation. What did it have? Nothing. This presentation focused on revealing new information about upcoming Pokemon games, and updates for Pokemon games that are already out. I don't Pokemon for a living, so I couldn't even begin to tell you about any of the updates, but I can tell you about this dumbass trailer for these dumbass games with the dumbass names and the dumbass art style.
I am capable, but far from qualified.
What the hell was up with the editing in this trailer? I guess they saw the divisive response and thought, well, maybe if we confuse them, they won't be as angry. No. The trailer for Legends Arceus, on the other hand, this was great. It really blew the lid off this game and showed what made it more than just Breath of the Wild with dogfighting. I honestly think this game looks fantastic, even if it's just because it strays a little bit outside of the pre-established norms of the series. It's still Pokemon, but it feels like such a big step forward from Sword and Shield, and it makes these two dumbass games look even more shit. Alright, September was pretty big. Mostly for this. Nintendo held their final direct of the year. It was 40 minutes long, spawned 2 separate presentations, and I haven't eaten yet today, so let's try and keep things brief here. The direct opened up with the DLC for Monster Hunter Rise, Sunbreak, good for it. We then move on to Mario Party Superstars, and just like it did at E3, this game looks fantastic. Then we had Isle of Cards, an RPG with cards. I get it if you're into that, but I am not. Disco Asylum, the final cut. Apparently people think this game is amazing. I think it's graphically repulsive. Age of Calamity DLC was talked about for more than a 2-second still frame. It saw Robbie and Pura become playable. Who the hell didn't see that coming? Chocobo GP, the inbred cousin of Mario Kart and Final Fantasy. Do I look like the kind of person to care? The final Smash character is announced to be announced in a separate presentation around 2 weeks after the direct. I can't wait to be disappointed. Kirby and the Forgotten Land. Damn you, Nintendo, for revealing something I want to talk about! This game looks like exactly what I wanted Kirby to be moving forward. I'm one of the only people alive who thinks Star Allies was a good game, but I, along with countless others, wanted to see Kirby finally make the jump into 3D. And his first outing in this dimension is actually stepping outside of the established norms of the series. Who would have thought? But seriously, the new post-apocalyptic human city setting is super intriguing, especially for Kirby, and what little gameplay we've seen so far looks incredibly fun. I'm so happy we're seeing another 3D platformer on Switch, because you can never have enough of them, but you can have too few. This game genuinely looks super good, and I can't wait to play it. Animal Crossing New Horizons update. The Roost is back. My feet. They announced a full Animal Crossing Direct for October, and it was slated to be longer than the Direct that happened before launch, which is really exciting, even though it doesn't matter to me. I played this game for 1,200 hours without this update. This wasn't going to spark an epiphany. Mario Golf Super Rush update. Ninja is cool, but he isn't Wiggler, so I don't care yet. Disney Magical World 2 Enchanted Edition. Thank the Switch is finally compatible with sex. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, Dying Light 2 Cloud Edition, also known as Burn in Hell. Triangle Strategy continues to not have a shit given about it by me. Metroid Dread has one of the best trailers I've ever seen. It looks so good and creepy and exciting and fun, and God, Nintendo, put this game in my mouth! Nintendo Switch Online is being updated with new games from the Nintendo 60 what? And huh?
Why? Why did you have to do that, Nintendo? I was perfectly content with the way things were, and you just had to f*** it up. Why did you have to give me something else to talk about? It's Kirby and the Forgotten Land all over again. I'm so sick of this company!
Nintendo 64 and Sega Mega Drive games are making their way to Nintendo Switch Online in a brand new pricing tier, Nintendo Switch Online plus expansion pack. That's a neat reference to the N64 expansion pack that's famous for Majora's Mask and Malaria, and it costs almost as much as a new game. Let's discuss. The games that Nintendo showed were coming to the service make this almost instantly worth it to me. I mean, come on. Kirby 64? That game's expensive as f*** right now. Sin and Punishment? That game's never left Japan. Paper Mario and Banjo-Kazooie?
I can die happily.
But for over double the price of the base service? That's a little bit tough to swallow, and by tough to swallow, I mean it doesn't even fit in my mouth. After Switch Online was free for basically 2 years when the Switch first launched, to now have to pay £35 a year just to have some extra legacy content to distract from the loneliness every now and then? I don't feel that's fully justified. Sure, it's a lot less than Sony and Microsoft have charged for their online services, but it's about the principle of it. Yes, I want to play Nintendo 64 and not Sega Mega Drive games on my Nintendo Switch. No, I don't want them on a subscription service. No, I don't want to pay twice the price of the NES and SNES subscription service for this one. At this point, Nintendo Switch Online isn't even about the online. It's about the legacy content. And making us pay extra for an additional library of content feels beyond cynical. And it doesn't bode well for the future of Switch Online, especially if all they do is release Paper Mario in December and absolutely nothing alongside it. That would be bad. Anyway, Shadowrun Trilogy, Castlevania Advance Collection, ActRaiser Renaissance, Deltarune Chapter 1 and 2 featuring dogs, thank you. We then have a sizzle reel featuring Shin Megami Tensei 5, Arcade Archives, Rune Factory 5, Wreck, Fest, Surviving the Aftermath, and fucking Hot Wheels. And then Miyamoto walks in, says that Chris Pratt is Mario, refuses to elaborate, and leaves.
Nintendo, stop giving me things to talk about!
The cast for the Mario movie was revealed, which really made me realize, wow, this movie exists. That is horrifying. I had little faith that this film was actually gonna, release, and now I still believe that. Let's break this down. Chris Pratt is Mario. That is not gonna work. Look at the Lego movie, look at this, something refuses to add up here. Anya Taylor-Joy is Peach. I have no idea who that is. Next question. Charlie Day is Luigi. Okay, this could work. It won't be ideal, but it won't be horrible. I don't approve of it. Jack Black as Bowser. What the fuck? Kung Fu Panda. Bowser. School of Rock. Bowser. Fucking Goosebumps. Bowser. Look, I adore Jack Black, but I don't know if he's a great fit for Bowser. He'll be funny, absolutely, but I don't know if his voice really fits Bowser. But I got a solid 7 minutes of laughter from this reveal, so I guess it's whatever. Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. I guess it's fitting enough. But on the other hand, Seth Rogen, oh my god. Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Nope! Other characters in the movie include Kamek, played by Kevin Michael Richardson, Cranky Kong, played by Fred Armisen, and Foreman Spike, played by Sebastian Maniscalco. The inclusion of Spike and Cranky Kong makes it feel like this film is going to be something of an origin story, which sounds incredibly cool, until you remember it's being made by Illumination and your night is ruined. The cast in itself seems fine, but the issue is every single one of these characters has an established voice actor. I'm not sure if Jack Black would work well as Bowser, or if Keegan-Michael Key would work as Toad, but you know who would work well as these characters? But I get it. It's the Hollywood adaptation tradition. We gotta have big names play these characters to get general audiences interested, and in most cases, I get that. Most cases. Mario is the biggest name in all of words aside from Pokemon. Why in God's name would they need Chris Pratt to be involved for anyone to give a piss? It's fucking Mario! And the worst part is, Charles Martinet, the actual voice of Mario, is in the film. But as a cameo, man, that's just insulting! Good God, there better be a Splatoon 3 trailer after this or I'm gonna lose my shit. Thank you so much! This trailer showed off a lot. Some new story details, more multiplayer gameplay, returning characters. This was a solid trailer. There's not really much I can say considering it's another Splatoon game, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm really looking forward to this game, and this trailer only helped with that. The direct ended with... It's about fucking time. After near enough 4 years since its reveal, we finally saw Bayonetta 3. And as someone who's never played a game in this series, it sure looked like another Bayonetta game.
All in all, this was another pretty solid direct, and really set 2022 up to be a fantastic year for the Switch. But I gotta be honest, I don't really care, because WarioWare Get It Together released 2 weeks before this direct. I was preoccupied.
WarioWare is back, baby, and this game is amazing! This was actually my first WarioWare game, and I gotta say, I'm hooked. I thought that I was going to enjoy this game, but I never expected to have as much fun with it as I did. It took the existing WarioWare formula and enhanced it by allowing us to actually play as all of the wacky, lovable characters from this series. Each and every one of them has unique abilities that force you to rethink your approach to every single micro game. You'd think this means that the micro games don't really work with certain characters, but no. You can beat any micro game with any character, and the strategy to do so is different every time. It's super engaging. Even standing on their own, every micro game I played was a blast. But having the added depth of rethinking and refining my strategy depending entirely on who I was playing made playing this game a consistently enjoyable experience. And the replayability that the roster affords, that's something I really appreciate. October was a huge month, so let's cut the bullshit and get down to business. This month opened with the final Smash Bros. Reveal on October 5th. Who was it?
Come on! It's been teased since before the game's release, everybody's been asking for it, and before now, SAKURAI just hadn't been brave enough to do it. But it's finally time for Walu!
Let's go!
Wait! I'm going to bed for a few weeks.
Sora from Kingdom Hearts was the final Smash character, and outside of the overwhelming sadness I feel, this was probably the perfect way to end Smash Bros. Ultimate. Seeing Disney in the credits of this game alongside industry giants like Microsoft, it really speaks to the legacy of Super Smash Bros. And the immense amount of passion and love that went into Smash Ultimate. To have this game finally be over? It's kind of surreal. SAKURAI has poured his heart and soul into this game, and to see all that he's accomplished with this game, it's a spectacle to behold. There will never be another game like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and even though it's over, the impact this game has had on the entire industry will never fade. This game is a massive accomplishment, and I think what SAKURAI and his team need to do now is have a well-earned rest. Thank you, SAKURAI, for the wonder that is Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, one of the greatest achievements in the industry. The Switch OLED released this month. Yes, October 8th saw the release of the Nintendo Switch OLED, or OLED, or OLED. But, much like how the last Switch revision launched alongside a game in a major Nintendo franchise, this revision launched with potentially the biggest game of the year, Metroid Dread. Metroid Dread is, well, I don't even really know how to put Metroid Dread into words. Not only is it the revival of a dormant Nintendo franchise that sparks hope for its series and every other dormant series, not only is it a game that's been teased since 2006 and finally released after 15 years, but it's also an absolute masterclass of design, and one of the most intensely fun and exhilarating games I have ever played. Every single aspect of Metroid Dread is perfect. The movement system sees Samus being the most agile she's ever been, and when combined with all of the combat options, including but far from limited to a refinement of Samus Return's counter system, leads to an insanely smooth experience from start to finish. The movement system is honestly addicting. It feels so good to pull off moves in quick succession while Samus doesn't even break a sweat. And even though your moves use basically every button on the Switch's controller, it all feels intuitive and not at all convoluted, which was honestly my biggest concern. The overall atmosphere and tone of this game are spot on. It takes the standard Metroid staple of isolation and takes it to the nth degree by introducing the Emmy, a collection of rogue robots that have only one mission: to hunt you down and kill you. Almost all of the Emmy zones are designed to invoke genuine terror in the player. If you're in there and there's an Emmy nearby, the panic that overcomes you is unparalleled. Even if you can't see the Emmy yet, it's terrifying. In fact, I'd argue more so because you can always hear the faint chirp of one nearby. And that sound, along with the atmospheric sound effects that envelop the sound design like the fog does the screen, it's terrifying in a way that I've personally never seen a game pull off before. And then when an Emmy snakes its way on screen, those few seconds of panic to ensure you don't enter its line of sight are invigorating. The immersion is so brilliantly earned and makes you genuinely feel like your life is at risk, which is all capped off when one of the things actually sees you. The mad dash chase sequence is thrilling, and the only way of escape is to be skilled enough to get out of the radius of its hearing. And this is not an easy task. There's no way to defeat the Emmy, at least not during these chases, so you really have to familiarize yourself with Samus's moveset and your environment to escape with your life. And even outside of the Emmy sections, the atmosphere and tension that permeate throughout the entirety of the experience are intoxicating. And the overall sound design aids in this tremendously. I absolutely love this game. As a relative newcomer to the Metroid series, I am absolutely hooked. And I can see myself replaying this game for many years to come, purely because I can't get enough of that core gameplay and the atmosphere and story that surround it.
Metroid Dread is a masterpiece. It has the gameplay, the story, the sound design, the visual flair. All of these things would have already been enough to make it so, but the borderline horror aspects push this game over the edge. In my opinion, there is no other game like Metroid Dread, and I don't know if there ever will be. Now, while we're on the topic of horror,
the Animal Crossing New Horizons Direct revealed version 2.0 of the game, which added cooking, farming, exercise, damn near every character we've ever wanted to see return, new KK songs. This update had pretty much everything we've been wanting, but it was announced to be the last major free content update of the game, and I don't know how I feel about that. On the one hand, it could mean that there'll still be free updates, just not this gargantuan. Or there'll still be big updates, but they aren't gonna be free. And speaking of which, Animal Crossing Happy Home Paradise. A paid expansion to New Horizons that takes Happy Home Designer from the 3DS and puts it on steroids. This looked incredible. Now let's talk about the fans. People have bitched at Nintendo all damn year because they weren't updating Animal Crossing, which is fair. Nintendo definitely could have done more, but the same people bitching were the ones who had already sank hundreds, hell, even thousands of hours into the game, and then tried to claim that it didn't have enough content. Shut your damn mouth! And then Nintendo, I love that you did this huge update, but why the hell didn't you split it up into more consistently released smaller updates? We would have still gotten all the content and people wouldn't have bitched at you. So yeah, I adored this update, but the context surrounding it, boo. Next game of October, Mario Party Superstars, the triumphant return of Nintendo's yearly series. Now, let's be fair here. They did go 2 years without a game in this series. We were overdue. This game was a best-of compilation of the first 3 Mario Parties, but not really. Sure, it features boards from the 3 N64 titles, but the minigames span the entire series, which I find to be odd. Like, yeah, I appreciated there being more minigames, but I feel this game would have worked better as a strictly N64 celebration. And then they can make a GameCube compilation next year, and me buying Mario Party 7 will have been worthless. Also, if you ask me, 5 boards is pitiful, especially for this being a remake. But at least they picked really good boards in Peach's birthday cake. Now that I have my obligatory bitching out of the way, this game is absolutely fantastic. This is the best Mario Party has felt in decades. And hell, this is coming from someone who adores some of the post-GameCube Mario Party games, like 8 and Super, and that's it. Everything about the gameplay is perfect, and the quality of life features, like being able to change the game length mid-game, they just enhance an already stellar experience and make this my new go-to multiplayer game on the Switch.
I can't wait for me and only me to never play this game with other people. Now, I think on the whole, people kind of forgot that Nintendo even released mobile games. But fun fact, Pikmin Bloom released and the world did not take notice.
This game was basically Pokemon Go, but Pikmin. It was made by the Pokemon Go devs after all. The fact that the next Nintendo mobile game was Pikmin of all things bodes well for the future of this franchise, and this game is honestly a lot of fun. I don't really have too much to say about it, purely because I don't leave the house enough to have played a lot of this game, but what I have played was a pretty solid time. I hope this game does well, purely because I want more Pikmin in my life, but sadly, early numbers have indicated that it hasn't been the biggest success.
The only other thing that happened this month was Nintendo f***ed up the N64 emulation on Switch Online, something that should have been easy for them to get working flawlessly that they still managed to ruin. I finally have Nintendo Bingo. The button mapping was barely usable, the games were sharper but they got rid of some effects, and they also didn't fix any of the issues with games that needed accessories. Now let's talk about Pokemon!
What do you want me to say? November was pretty much a month of Pokemon, and they weren't even that good. Look, okay, these are quality games, they breathe new life into a classic, blah blah blah, I don't care, I am not a fan of these games. I haven't played the original Diamond and Pearl, so I don't have that base experience to compare it to, but even still, these games just bore me! And I know I'm not a fan of the art style, but it goes so much deeper than that. After seeing how the series is advancing with Legends Arceus, and hell, even seeing the advancements made in Sword and Shield and the Let's Go games, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they feel so stripped back. They feel like they do the bare minimum to meet the quota of a Pokemon game, and that just isn't enough to hook me. Again, I'm sure these games are quality, but they just weren't engaging enough to keep me playing for more than a couple of hours.
November also had the Zelda Game & Watch. My life is complete!
Okay, we're finally here. December. The last Nintendo game of 2021 was Big Brain Academy Brain vs. Brain, the return of the Big Brain Academy series. Now, I was only introduced to this series this year, I just got my Wii degree, what do you expect from me? I haven't played this game yet sadly, but it looks pretty damn solid. It seems to have a much bigger focus on multiplayer, which is a cool direction to take the series in, but I'm gonna be honest, I play multiplayer so infrequently that when I have to make a choice on what game to play with others, I have better options. Again, this game looks really good though, and it's nice to finally have a year with a big holiday title in December. This thing is gonna push at least 5 million consoles, I guarantee it. Uh-oh, it's time to be underwhelmed again. Somebody filed a missing persons report for Nintendo at the Game Awards. Where the hell were they? I mean, at least we saw the Sonic movie sequel. It looks amazing, and sure, Sonic Frontiers looks like a bog-standard generic open world game, but it looks better than this. Wow, the bar is really that low, huh? A lot of people, including myself, thought it was reasonable to expect some sort of Nintendo reveal at the event. The Game Awards is usually Smash reveal season, and with there being no more Smash to reveal, I thought Breath of the Wild 2 was a legitimate possibility. But nope, Nintendo revealed absolutely nothing, and Metroid Dread lost Game of the Year to It Takes Two, so you know what? Fuck it, I'm done!
I need a cigarette. Nintendo in 2021. I think they did pretty good. Under normal circumstances, the lineup for this year was still pretty solid. We had a big name Nintendo game almost every single month, and when considering the knock-on effect that last year undoubtedly had on this one, Nintendo did better than I expected them to. And not only did Nintendo have a lot of brilliant games this year, some in name and nothing more, but they also filled out the 2022 calendar with another slew of amazing games. The Switch's future is looking really bright, and I'm looking forward to what's to come. And now that the year's over, it's time to pick a Game of the Year. Specifically, my Game of the Year. That's right, f*** off Jeff Keighley. We all know the drill by now. Re-releases are a no-go. So Skyward Sword HD and Miitopia? Get the f*** out of my face! So that leaves us with 6 contenders. Alright, what was my Game of the Year? Well, I'll give you a clue. It wasn't Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Mario Golf Super Rush is a damn good game. But come on, I'm a gamer. Do you really expect me to say, oh, the best thing I did this year was golf? Mario Party Superstars is one of my favorite multiplayer experiences on the Switch. But it's in a weird grey area. It's not a re-release, but it focuses entirely on old content. There's really nothing new here, so I don't think I can warrant putting it above any other game. WarioWare Get It Together is one of the most unique games in the Switch's lineup. It was a blast the whole way through. But no matter how much I keep trying to convince myself that this could be my Game of the Year, these 2 damn games keep calling my name! New Pokemon Snap was a magical experience, some of the purest bliss that the Switch has to offer. This game reinvigorated a childlike glee that I haven't felt since New Horizons, but still, this game is amazing! But Metroid Dread is an absolute masterclass of design. Every aspect of this game is damn near perfect. I don't think a game has hooked me this badly in years, and the gameplay loop is so addictive that I never wanted to put this damn thing down. New Pokemon Snap was fantastic, but I spent £80 and battled scalpers to get my hands on this game, and it was beyond worth it. So my Game of the Year was Metroid Dread. New Pokemon Snap came damn close, but I have to give Metroid the upper hand, and I can't wait to give the same title to the next mainline Metroid game in 2082.